And we're back, and we're going to be going over the overview of the interface. And last kind of video, we went over the options, and hopefully you're all set, and you have a test tone, and you heard the test tone, and you're good to go. Basically, that's all you need to set up Ableton. So onwards, I'd like to point off that if you hold, Shift and question mark, that info view pops up, and you can mouse over everything, and it'll give you, a brief explanation of all it does, and that's pretty cool. Anyway, so first we're going to be top to bottom. So tap is how you tap the BPM. BPM is basically how many beats per minute your song is. And you can select it here. Basically, yeah, it's the tempo. You can tap it in if you have a piece of music in your head and you don't know what it is or how fast it's playing. You can just tap it in, and then there you go, and then it starts playing. So you're good to go. So what we'll do is we'll go to default. Usually, default's 120. I bring mine up to 129. Tempo nudge is basically the pitch bend on a CD player or like a vinyl record or a record player. It speeds it up slightly and then speeds it down. This is if you're using it in a live kind of setting. This kind of course is for the production side of Ableton Live. So like if you don't have a MIDI clock from a mixer or whatnot, you can match the BPM by speeding this up and then slowing it down and then moving the BPM around, and then you're good to go, just like mixing. Your time signature for dance music, it's 4/4, and you can change it around to any kind of signature in whatever kind of musical notation you're going after. We have our metronome. And what it is, it clicks as the tempo is going along. And that higher pitched one, this one, is at the beginning of a bar. So it tells you when the bar is at its beginning state. You can count in. So if you're ready to record something, you hit record, and it counts you in 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it starts recording. And playing, so you can get ready, and then so basically you can hit a bar or even 4 bars, hit record, run to the other side of the room to your keyboard, and play. And it's kind of that simple. Quantization type thing. So in your in your arrangement view, this is kind of difficult to explain. I'll get back to that once I show you. No, actually, I'll just show you right now. So if you have this, if you have that set at 1 bar and you press play anywhere along here, I'll get into this whole thing. I'll just explain to you what it does. It'll keep the same beat, the same tempo, and then jump to it. So it doesn't kind of, if I have it to none, it won't do this. Right, it won't do that. But if I have it, set to 1 bar, and I click it, it'll wait for that bar to complete. See what it does? I don't know, that's kind of weird. It's useful to keep everything in time and keep the groove, but usually I have this off so I can move it around and press play from anywhere, and it's instant, so I can, if I'm listening to a fill or like a drop or a breakdown, I can keep on pressing spacebar or even this, right? And if I didn't have that on, I had it at 1 bar. Well, it still does it, but if I were to, go to a different place, see, it jumps. So it's kind of a neat kind of way to explain it. The follow, it's kind of neat. It's mainly just for looking at. You turn that on, you press play, and then it kind of follows along. The marker stays right in the center until you move it. You can press it again. So if you're not sure like where you are, you can turn that on, but usually you just zoom out and see this little marker here where you're going to play from. Here we have the position, so you can move it around. So say, I gotta get to the 33rd bar or whatnot, or the song maybe kicks in. If you're making a kind of a DJ friendly piece of music, you can do that easily. Play, stop, and record, and MIDI overdub. You can just keep on recording over MIDI, or it'll just like replace it. It'll replace the audio. But if you keep on, you can press a key and then press another one, and it'll play at the same time instead of replacing it. That makes any sense? And I'll explain that. Yeah, this arms it for automation. So like if you turn this off and you record, it won't record any automation, and we'll get into automation. So when this turns red, that means that you had something automated, but you changed it so the automation deactivated itself, because you can't change something away from its original state where its automation was. Say if it's a MIDI, because it's all automation, it's all kind of MIDI controlled, or it uses MIDI data. So if like it was at, it's 1 through 27, so if it's at like 66, the filter or something was open, and then it's automated within live, and then you turn the filter down, that red light will come on and it'll say, hey, you have something changed here. It still allows you to change it. It won't snap back, but it lets you know, and then you can press it to go back to normal, to its original automated state. It won't delete your automation. Yeah. So all this stuff is for loops. So your little loop section, you can select, and it's nice and blue. You hit loop. Wait, it doesn't do that. Weird. Oh, because I selected that. So basically, if you want to do it the way I just showed you, fail, you select it blue. This is different, and then you go loop selection or Control L, and then it loops that, and it'll loop this forever. And you can make it short, right? Or you can make it basically long, and all that fun stuff. So you can select the length. It's like, okay, I gotta make this, I gotta make that 2 bars or 1 bar. Usually you'll make a 1 bar loop for beginners, and we'll get into that. Draw mode. Draw mode is best mode. Draw mode allows you to draw in automation, and you can select that with Control B, and I suggest you use Control B, but I'll be clicking on it just for ease of use. So another thing I want you to do is turn these on. If you have delay compensation, or if you have like any kind of outboard thing, you want to leave this open, but if you don't, turn off delay compensation. So for automation, I need to open that up because we're going to automate volume. You can select it, and you have this little dotted line here, and this is basic automation, and you can draw that in right with the pencil tool. Turn that off, and then you can move these around, move that around. You double click to get them to go away. There'll probably be a whole video on automation, and move it around. And then this has a little red kind of rinky-dinky thing, so you'll press play and you'll see this move by itself, and that can be kind of attached to any parameter, even VSTs. Isn't that awesome? So that's basically what the draw kind of button does. It inputs automation. computer MIDI keyboard. I use this just because it's in front of me. You can use your computer as a keyboard, or your computer keyboard as a piano with a home row and a bit of the black keys above it, and you change your octave with Z and X. And yeah, once you have that selected, you can press like J or something, and you have that little light in the top corner, and that is your MIDI activation: on, off. Right, and you have your key, which is not something I use. Yeah, neat. So you have your MIDI in. No, key MIDI out. You're not going to be getting into that. This is like your MIDI map stuff. So you select that, and you can map it to almost anything. So what we'll do, actually, does this work? Yeah. So I have this soft knob in front of me, and what I'm going to do is click on this, and then move this. Oh wait. Shit. Why you no work? What the fuck is going on? Oh, maybe with the virus it doesn't work. That's a big fail, even though it's accepting MIDI. I think because it's taking charge of something else. But anyway, if you have any kind of MIDI controller in front of you, you can attach it to any kind of parameter here, and you turn the knob and it turns the volume down, or turns the volume up, or affects basically anything. And I don't know why it doesn't work with the virus. That's weird. Oh wait. Yep. No. Oh, yeah, it's tracking. Yeah, I will machine. Oh. There. So turn that on. There we go. And that should work, actually. No. That is very interesting. Oh, yeah, there we go. Got it to work. And then I'll have that one to this. So, turn that off. And then we have this knob right here controlling the pan. This one right here controlling the volume. And you notice that light went off. And that means that I changed the automation, or I changed the value of the volume. So now that automation is deactivated. So now it's not doing anything. But if I press that, bam, it kind of goes back, and we're good to go. Right? You understand? Hopefully? Okay. Bro step. And that is the top part. Don't worry about key, and don't worry about a lot of these loop functions. Just remember loops. And also you can delete your automation by cutting the envelope, and then now it's back to normal. And you can move that back up to 0, or you can return to default. Okay, so you'll notice that there's two screens here. You start off on this one, you get confused. If you want, you hit tab, or you click on this to go to session view. And we're going to be working, we're going to be working in arrangement view. This is session view, this is arrangement view, and we're going to be working in this predominantly. So right here, this guy, we have our browser, and the browser is a way to find sounds, grooves, patches, VSTs, instruments, effects, everything we would ever need to drop in to Ableton. And when you have a sample folder, you go add folder, and then you add it from any of your hard drives. So that's the driver in the not the driver, the browser in a nutshell. It's changed from Ableton 8. So you have your sounds that came with Ableton, your drums, your instruments. These are the Ableton default instruments. They're easy to open. You just take them, bam, they drop in, right? And that's how you drop in an instrument. You'll notice this button right here that arms it to receive MIDI from Ableton. So you have that on. You press a key, nothing works. On your trusty keyboard here, nothing works, but it's receiving MIDI. So what do? You arm that, and then it's receiving MIDI, and that's how you get sound out of it. But we won't go there yet. So this is the Ableton effects. Ableton instruments, and basically instruments mean there's sound generators and samplers. Audio effects, they are, basic effects. If you don't have an instrument, they say drop instrument here because they're kind of lonely. They have nothing to affect. You can drop these on any channel, and there's a vast majority of them, all with their own special use, and they're really fun. MIDI effects affect MIDI, right? So you have your arpeggiator, which is a repeat. You have your pitch up and down. So it basically manipulates MIDI data. And I'll show you really quickly here. So we'll drop in an analog. See, it goes before the instrument. So it's at a rate of 1/8. We'll turn it up to 1/16. We'll lower the gate so it's more stabby. And then we'll just press one key and we'll hold it. And I'm not doing this. And that's basically MIDI. It receives MIDI. You're getting one note, and then it kind of changes the MIDI to do basically cool stuff. If that makes any sense. Max for Live does not apply. Now, if you have your plugin folder, these are These are third-party programs that are opened within Ableton, and they either receive MIDI or they're an effect, or sometimes both, I guess. So basically, they receive data from it. They open within Ableton, and they receive data through Ableton. So we'll take Silence 1, Public Source, we'll drag it into the MIDI. So basically, what you want to do is you want to select a channel, or you can even open up a new one, right? Drop Silence in, boom, and then you have Silence 1, which is popular. You can close it, it's right here, the wrench, you open it, right? And then you want to arm it to record, and you can hold shift and play multiple instruments at the same time with the same keyboard. It's all about shift, and you can solo, but we'll get into that later. So you have your sound here, you arm it to receive MIDI, right? And that's pretty cool. And it's basically a third-party kind of program. There's no parameters here. It's X, Y, and you have all your patches. It plays FXB data in the form of patches, but you can open it, and you're good to go to play around with it, and it receives MIDI just the same. Clips, not applicable unless you did basically loops. You can drag in, and then your samples. That's just your samples basically. Usually where I am is in places. So you got your live pack, your user library, my samples, my more samples, my machine loops, my disco area, bit of load, yeah, and all that other fun stuff, and assorted things. And you can add as many folders as you want, I believe, within reason. So that is your browser, right? And we already went over this top part. So down here, there's two sections really. One is a kind of a clip launcher, launching. And what you do is you can take a loop and just generally get ideas down. So you just drag it onto here, set that up, and you press play. And that's how you play sounds. And these can be songs, these can be MIDI clips. So there's a break. So now we'll add this, right? And then we'll copy and then paste. So now you have kind of two scenes. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are all your scenes. So you can wait. I did it all backwards. So I barely use this. So you have each of your kind of audio here. You have this with just the breaks, and then you have the breaks with the sound. So this would be like your beginning, middle, and you can get kind of ideas down. I don't like that. I'll replace it. And this is how you quickly kind of audition sounds. But I don't use that. And that is, oh, go away, whatever. So what I do is I use the arrangement view. And the arrangement view is basically a linear, kind of beginning to end. And this is how I start and I stop my tracks. And this little bar up here is where you play. You can't play from here, you play from here. And directly above it, you get a little magnifying glass. You can move in and out. All right. And then we already went over kind of the loop section, or the loop, how to set up a loop. This is the loop thing. And then this will go on forever. So we'll make that one bar, right? And then each one of these is your track, right? And you can have 3 options here: audio, MIDI, and return. Right, we're going to be working with just audio and MIDI right now. MIDI is not a sound, it's just data. And this data can be sent to anything. Anything that receives MIDI or that data is dropped on here. And the MIDI could be this, or virus, or massive, or sound, or any kind of effect type thing. But also, these plugins can be dropped on audio tracks if they're like an effect. So there's multiple uses. Well, there's multiple things in the VST standard, or RTAS, or audio unit, or whatever. Yeah. So each track here, you have your automation kind of control. So the mixer, if you want to automate this, you can click on it, right? But if you just want to go through it, you can go, okay, I want to automate track volume. And you click this little pencil and you scribble it in. And that kind of works. And this is your automation box. You can add multiple automation lanes. So I want to have the automation lane for the track volume here. And then I'll select the pan, and then I'll add the pan. So I can see the pan and the track volume at the same time. And I can draw them in respectively. You know what I mean? This activates the track. This is not a mute, it just deactivates it. So you can deactivate it, save as something that you're okay, I'm done working on that. I'm gonna move on to the next thing. The next kind of idea, you're good to go. Solo. You want to hear everything but that track, it mutes everything else. And this blue thing means solo. You can solo multiple things at once, or you can solo everything. But that's kind of redundant. Your arm for recording, this is the same button for MIDI, helps it receive MIDI, record MIDI. When you hit record on a MIDI track, all it does is record the MIDI, it doesn't record the sound. You have to bounce that out. But for recording, I'll wait for my hard drive to speed up. I use a crappy hard drive for recording, an oldie. When you do that, it'll record any kind of external in, be it rewire or whatnot. But we'll generally leave that off. Panning, left and right, moves it left and right, volume, yeah, up and down. Your routing, this is always fun and confusing. Usually you won't need to touch this if you're a beginner. If you have a outboard synth, you want to consult your documentation. Just like if you have because this all comes from like the audio card, or resampling is taking it from the master and then re-recording it in. It just it can receive you know, a lot of stuff, and you can record multiple things at once. I'll go over recording, or if you've seen any of my Let's Make tracks, I record from the virus a lot, and I kind of explain it there. Typically for the beginner, you're not going to be doing a whole lot of recording. If you're into dance music, if you're into something else, you have, you know, your audio signal or your mic going into your interface, and you manage your, you configure your input configuration, and then you play a sound. This drop-down menu will come, and these little black things will light up. Like a VU meter, and you'll know, okay, that's like recording. You mute that so you don't actually hear it through your monitor or through your speakers, and then you hit record, and then you hit record here, and then you press play, and that's basically it. And that is the transport control. The master is neat. A master it's the same as all these. Doesn't load MIDI, doesn't load any of that fun stuff. Loads VST effects though. But there's the master volume and the preview, and the preview is basically the loudness of your preview kind of samples. So leave that there. Panning, you know, indeed panning for your master. And where the sound is going out to. You can have the cue, say if you're in a DJ situation. This is not relevant to this program. If you have a DJ situation, you want to listen to this, you want to route this out through your headphones, so it's another output. But for your master, you want one to like your main audio out, and you know, obviously it works. So I can't teach you how to set this up with every single sound card, but usually 1/2, left and right. Speaker output 1 and output 2, it's good to go. One thing that the master bus can do is automate the BPM. So you do that the same, you just draw it in, and you'll see the little red rinky-dink there, and you automate the BPM. Yeah. And what you have here, I know, oh, this is pretty cool. This is there, so get rid of the question mark. The master bus handles plugins just like all of these, but these are like the final kind of plugins there are. And you can zoom through here, and each track you click on, they have their own kind of sets of plugins that you drop in, and they're really simple to drop in. You could take them and then double click them to kind of collapse them. They're still there, but you open them, close them, you're good to go. And that is your master bus. And these little triangles here, you can free up kind of real estate. If you're done messing around with samples and plugins, you click on that, you're good to go, and then you can focus more on arrangement, right? But you know, I leave these open. Yeah, basically that's it. What I would do is in the session view, I use this as like a mixer because it has, you know, metering. And I just basically turn all these on, and then I can see all my routing here. I have a bigger screen. This is sized down. And yeah, you can hear your track through here just by pressing tab or clicking on this. Yeah, and that's the basic overview. Hopefully I didn't ramble. Be back soon.